It was supposed to be a joke, a stupid midnight dare. But when the sun rose over Evergreen High, only 4 of them came back. The town of Greenvale woke up different that morning, like someone had turned down the color of everything. Students whispered. Parents stared at their phones, and somewhere, behind a cracked window, Riley Evans sat on the edge of her bed, trying to remember where the night had gone wrong. Riley wasn't supposed to be there. She wasn't the type to sneak out, to drink cheap beer, or to follow Tessa Ward's ideas. But when you're 17, fear of missing out feels stronger than fear itself. Her mother said, "Riley, the police are here again." Her throat tightened. They weren't there to comfort her. They were there because she was one of the last people to see Jamie Brooks alive. At school, everything looked normal, almost too normal. But under the fluorescent lights, something ugly was spreading. Rumors. They said Jamie ran away. They said he'd been in love with Tessa. They said Riley knew what happened. Riley said, "Stop looking at me, please." Lucas says, "Hey, ignore them. Nobody knows what really happened." Riley said, "Do you?" That was the thing about guilt. You could see it, even when no one said a word. Across the lawn, Tessa Ward stood surrounded by her usual crowd. Hair perfect, smile flawless, the queen of Evergreen High. But Riley saw something no one else did, a flicker of panic behind that smile. The night before, they'd all promised. No one would talk about what happened at midnight, but promises were meant to be broken. It started with a dare. Jamie said the place was haunted. Tessa said she didn't believe in ghosts. And Riley, she just wanted to feel like she belonged. Jamie said, laughing, "Come on, it's just a building. What's the worst that could happen?" Tessa said, smirking, "You'll find out soon enough." That was the last time anyone saw Jamie Brooks. One of the teachers said, reading from announcement, "If anyone has information regarding Jamie's disappearance, please contact the police." Every time Tessa looked at her, Riley's chest tightened. There was something in those eyes, something she didn't want to remember. Riley said, voice trembling, "We said we'd never talk about it. But what if someone already has?" And just like that, the pact began to crack. At Evergreen High, truth didn't disappear. It waited for midnight to return. The night air smelled of rain and rust. It wasn't supposed to be anything more than a game. 5 friends, a dare, and a building long forgotten by everyone else. Jamie says, laughing, trying to hide nerves, "Come on, it's just an old gym. What's the worst that could happen?" Riley says, hesitant, whispering, "I don't know. I think we should just..." Tessa said, smirking, "Scared, Riley? Don't tell me you're backing out already. The night's just getting started." Tessa had a way of making everyone feel small and bold at the same time. That night, her boldness would steer them toward a mistake no one could forget. Riley said, softly to herself, "Why did I agree to this?" Jamie jokingly says, "See? Haunted, just like they said." Pauses. "Okay, maybe not haunted, just creepy." The shadows stretched long that night. They didn't just crawl across the floor, they crawled into their thoughts, whispering what they refused to say out loud. Tessa said, "Let's make it official. A pact. We all promise. No one ever tells what happens here tonight." Holding up her hand. "Swear it." They said the words, they made the promise, and Riley, she felt a weight pressed down on her chest, a warning she ignored. Jamie said, teasing, "Last one up is a scaredy cat." Riley said, screaming, "Jamie, oh my God!" Tessa said commandingly, "Everyone quiet. No one panics. We deal with this now." That was the moment the game ended, the moment the night became something else. Midnight was no longer just a time on a clock. It was a warning. Riley says, whispering, Someone call an ambulance." Tessa said, cold commanding, "No, now is not the time. If anyone sees us here, it's over." Pauses, eyes glinting. "We fix this ourselves." Lucas said, "Fix it? How? He's hurt." Tessa, snapped, said, Then we stay quiet. Do exactly as I say. Understood? Tessa's calm was a weapon. She wasn't afraid of consequences. She was the consequence. And Riley felt it pressing down on her chest, heavy as the night air. Riley, voice trembling, says, "This isn't right. We should call someone," Tessa said sharply. "Do you want to go to jail too, Riley? Or worse, let them know what you saw?" Tessa had always been bold, but boldness was different from control. And tonight, she had both. Lucas said, quietly, I think we can't trust her." Riley says, whispering, barely audible, "I know." Tessa said, "Here's what we do. We swear again. Tonight's secret stays with us." Riley wanted to scream. She wanted to run. But the weight of the night, the fear of Tessa, the fear of herself, it froze her. Promises made in fear aren't promises. They are chains. Tessa says, smirking over shoulder, "Next time we do it right." They left the building, but the night stayed behind. It stayed in the cracks of the floorboards, in the shadows, in the silence. It stayed in Riley's heart. Midnight had witnessed everything. And it was waiting. Riley said, whispering, panicked, "We can't just leave him like that." "Jamie," Lucas said, quietly, urgently. "Riley, Tessa said, over her shoulder, sharp, "Shut up, Lucas. Keep up and stop acting like you have a choice." Every step felt heavier than the last. The night pressed in from all sides, thick and suffocating. And Riley knew, once Tessa decided something, no one could stop it. Riley said, breathing hard, "We could go back. Someone would help him." Tessa said, coldly and decisively, "Do you want to go to jail, Riley? Do you want your life ruined before it even starts? We leave now or we all go down together." Lucas said, whispering, "I don't know if I can do this." Tessa said, voice low, dangerous, "You will. Because if you don't, I will make sure everyone knows what you saw." The pact wasn't just words on a cracked floorboard. It was fear given shape. Fear that walked beside them in the rain. Fear that whispered of consequences they couldn't yet imagine. Riley said, thinking, "This isn't friendship. It's control. And maybe, just maybe, I'll never be the same." Tessa, smiling faintly. "We all swore a promise, don't forget it." That night they had left the gym, but the pact didn't leave them. It followed them through the storm, through the lies, through every heartbeat that remembered Jamie's fall. And in the back of her mind, Riley knew the truth was already creeping toward the surface, waiting for the right moment to shatter everything. Sunlight had returned to Evergreen High, but the shadows from last night did not leave. They moved silently, whispering through the hallways, lingering in the corners where nobody looked. One of the students said, "That's her, the one who was with Jamie last night." Another student chips in, snickering, "Yeah. I heard she saw everything." Every glance felt like an accusation. Every whisper was a threat. Riley could feel it crawling under her skin, a weight she could not shake. Riley thought, "It wasn't my fault." But does anyone believe that? Tessa thrived on the perception of perfection. Every gesture, every smile was calculated, and Riley was learning that perfection could be terrifying. Rumors moved faster than any teacher could. Some said Jamie had simply run away. Some said he'd been drunk, a joke gone wrong. Some, the cruelest ones, said Riley knew more than she admitted. Lucas said, "They're saying that it wasn't an accident." Riley stiffly said, "Who's saying that?" Lucas replied, Everyone at school." And in that moment, Riley realized the worst part wasn't Tessa. It was the world watching her every move, judging her before she could even speak. Riley thought, "Something isn't right. Tessa, she knows something." The smirk was a weapon. It wasn't just mockery, it was warning. Tessa had control, and Riley was beginning to see it. Every detail came back. The creaking boards, the drip of water, the final moment when they left Jamie, and the unspoken truth that Tessa had commanded it all. Lucas panicked and said, "Do you think the police will find out?" Riley, voice tight. Not if we don't talk. Pauses, looks at him. But Tessa, she's hiding something. Suspicion is a slow poison. It creeps along the edges of your mind until you see danger in everything. Even in your best friend. Riley, thought tensed. I have to know the truth. Before it's too late. At Evergreen High, everyone wore a mask. But the night had already seen beneath them. And secrets. Secrets never stay buried for long. And so the suspicion began. A shadow stretching from midnight to sunset, waiting to pull the truth into the light. Night returned like a whisper. Riley couldn't escape it. Every shadow in her room seemed to stretch longer, every sound sharper. The pact wasn't over, not in her mind, not in her chest. Riley, trembling. Who? Who is this? The first sign had come quietly. A message like a shadow, small and impossible to ignore. And Riley knew someone was testing her. She remembered everything. The creaking wood, Jamie's fall, Tessa's eyes glinting in the dark. The weight of the pact pressing on her chest like a stone. Riley thought, why would someone reach out now? It's supposed to stay secret. Secrets don't stay buried. They linger in corners, in whispers, in the tiny details you think no one notices. And tonight, they were coming back. The daylight should have felt safe. But Riley felt eyes everywhere. She couldn't tell who was watching. Everyone could be Tessa. Everyone could be a messenger of the night. Riley thought, she knows. She always knows. Every mark Riley made was a lifeline. A way to remember what happened. A way to keep the truth from slipping through her fingers. Tessa was everywhere Riley turned. Her presence was a shadow that stretched, lingering, pressing. And Riley realized the most terrifying part of the pact wasn't what they did. It was who controlled it. Riley, voice trembling. I didn't see anything. The messages weren't just warnings. They were proof. Someone was watching. Someone knew the truth. Riley, typing. Who is this? What do you want from me? The silence screamed. The ghosts of the pact were alive. They were no longer memories, and they were moving, breathing, waiting. Tessa, softly almost to herself. They think they can hide, but secrets belong to me. And Riley realized with a cold, sinking feeling that tonight would not be about escape. It would be about discovery, about truth, and the consequences of breaking a promise made in fear. The ghosts of the pact had returned, and no one at Evergreen High would ever be the same. The daylight was supposed to bring clarity. Instead, it brought questions, and the first whisper of the truth. Riley thought, it's here. The night is still here. Even in the light, Lucas said, I found something. It was in Jamie's locker. I think Tessa put it there. Riley, soft, horrified. She's keeping track of everything. Tessa had always been meticulous, every detail recorded, every move anticipated, and now the truth was no longer hidden in shadow. It was written down. Riley remembered how Tessa had commanded them that night, how every word, every order had pushed them further into silence. And now the proof was here, in her hands. Riley thought, does anyone know? Does anyone see what she's really doing? One of the students said, I heard she's hiding something. The other student, snickering. Yeah, maybe she knows more than she's letting on. Every smile Tessa wore was a mask, and Riley was beginning to peel it away. Riley thought, if I can prove it, if I can show someone what really happened, maybe we can fix it. The secret wasn't just about Jamie. It wasn't just about the pact. It was about control, about fear, about who could bend reality to their will. Lucas, nervous, said, she's dangerous. You know that, right? Riley, voice tight. I know, but if I don't act, everything falls apart. And so the secret began to unfold. The pieces fell into place like shards of glass on the floor, and Riley realized the night wasn't over. It was only just beginning. Riley, thought tensed, I have to do this. Before she notices I know. Before It's too late, Tessa said softly, almost to herself. They think they can beat me. But some secrets belong to me forever. The secret had been discovered. But the consequences, those were only beginning to unfold. Some confrontations wait for years. Others wait just long enough for the storm to gather. Tonight the storm had arrived. Riley said, tensed. This ends tonight, so no more hiding. No more fear. Tessa, smiling coldly. I knew you'd come back. Curious, bold, foolish. Riley had prepared for this. But no preparation could erase the fear. No courage could silence the doubt. Riley, voice strong, trembling. I know what you did. I know how you made it happen. How you controlled everything that night. Tessa said, softly menacing. Do you? Or do you think you do? Riley, voice breaking angrily. Don't lie, Jamie. He didn't deserve this. All of us. We were just kids. Tessa said, kids? Number. You were naive. You let fear make your choices for you. And I simply ensured survival. Control is intoxicating. And Tessa had tasted it fully. Riley was starting to see how deep the consequences ran. Riley, voice trembling but defiant. You don't get to decide. You don't get to control our lives anymore. Tessa said, you finally understand, but understanding won't save you. This was it, the moment where fear and courage collided, where truth met lies, and where the pact could no longer remain unbroken. Riley, shouting desperate. Everyone will see this. They'll know what you did. Tessa said slowly. Do you think anyone will believe you? You? The scared, trembling girl who followed me everywhere? Riley said, I might have been scared, but I'm not anymore. And this ends tonight. The confrontation was no longer about fear. It was about truth. And Riley realized that sometimes courage is simply refusing to be silenced. Tessa, voice cracking slightly, said, You think you can undo this? The pact. It's stronger than you. Riley said, Maybe it was, but even the strongest chains can break. And tonight, I'm breaking them. And for the first time, Riley saw Tessa not as untouchable, but as human, flawed, vulnerable, and finally, fallible. The confrontation had begun, and nothing at Evergreen High would ever be the same. Some nights leave marks that never fade. Some secrets cling to the walls, to the floor, to the heart. And tonight, the last shadow of the pact would finally speak. Riley says firmly, It's over. No more lies. No more hiding. Tessa said, softly, almost remorseful, You think you understand, Riley. But do you really know why I did it? Riley said, You controlled everything. You scared us, manipulated us. Jamie. Tessa said, quietly, Jamie was never the target. The target was all of us, to survive in this world, to be seen, to be remembered. I had to make them follow, even if it meant breaking hearts, including mine. Some confessions don't heal, but they reveal, and revelation is the first step toward freedom. Riley softly said, All of it. It ends tonight. Tessa said quietly, I never wanted anyone to get hurt. I thought I could control it all. I thought I could survive it. Riley said, gently, You can't control people, Tessa. You can't hold fear over them forever, but maybe we can all survive it together. And sometimes survival doesn't mean domination. It means letting go. It means facing the consequences. And it means choosing hope. Riley thought, The pact. It left scars, but scars can teach. They remind us where we've been and guide us toward where we can go. Some nights end in darkness, some in light, and some nights leave a memory of both. Riley walked away. That night changed. Tessa, too. The pact had tested them, haunted them, threatened to destroy them. But in the end, the ghosts of midnight couldn't take everything. And maybe, just maybe, some hope had survived. Every secret, every fear, every shadow. They shape us, but they do not define us. And some nights teach us how to stand in the light again. Kindly subscribe, comment, like to watch more.